So on this darkest day of the year, our winter solstice is also World Meditation Day. I just saw that on somebody posted it. I don't know, is that an ongoing thing or did that somebody start that this year? Is it always World Meditation Day?
Not as far as I know, but I was surprised too.
Okay, well, also today, somewhere, many places. It's an appropriate day for us to look at our life force, our vitality, our exuberance, our prana, which is our own internal light source. So as we talk about the darkness of the sun and the daylight, we can talk also in contrast about the internal light source that we have. In Ayurveda, we actually have 5 internal pranas or life force known as the Panchavayus. And they're prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana. Each prana governs a different body part and body function. So when there are imbalances in our prana, that can lead to disease and disorder. So this is what we look at in Ayurveda as a diagnostic tool. We look at each of those pranas and we see how vibrant, how healthy, how well functioning are they. And if they're not, we try to eliminate some of the things that might be dampening to our system so that our vitality can flourish. On the opposite side, an awakening and enlivening prana is an antidote to the discomfort of these times. So I get a lot of questions from individuals who say that it just feels like a wet blanket with what's happening politically and just with the cultures around the world, humanity. Again, I mentioned this last week, and another country came up with the same thing. I can't remember which one it is, but I'm watching these breaking newses of how many countries' political systems are being in upheaval and changing hands. It's quite something when you look around the world, how many places there's been an overruling of the status quo, whether it's for good or bad, no judgment about that, just change. So there's an awakening and enlivening that's happening. Is it the end result? Is it better? We don't know. We're going to see, but we see that there's movement. It's not stagnant right now. There's no stagnancy, which is interesting. So our prana, as we look at how do we enliven and support our own prana, there are many different ways, and Siddhi will help us with one of them today. But some of the ways that are just built into our life are singing, dancing, rituals, ceremony, silence, devotion, discipline. These are ways that we intensify the prana that's in our system. We intensify the interior light that we carry into the world. These are all human technologies which support our structure and help us with our stability. And when our stability is enhanced, then life's nuances, what's coming to us in our own personal life, in our collective, is easier for us to handle. Our prana is not just about what's happening inside our body. In Ayurveda, we understand that it is affected by everything we take in, everything we ingest. And it's not just food. We ingest through all of our senses. So everything that we're hearing and seeing and touching and smelling and eating, all of this is being brought into our system internally, and we're having to sort through it. So the way that we support our prana so that it has the stability to deal with the fluctuations that naturally happen in life, that are happening all around us with varying degrees of intensity, will help us to be stable. We want to stabilize our prana. So we look at different ways that we can do that because this is sort of our foundational piece to our inner light. And our inner light starts by illuminating ourselves to ourselves, and then it moves into the world in helping to illuminate the world. But it starts with serving us. And this is how we take care of ourselves. And it happens in our health. It happens in our attitudes. It happens in our outlook. It's an illumination on all aspects of ourself. In times of difficulties, we invoke the names of the divine in all forms. We have a renewed intensity when things are rocking us. We look around for what are the places that we can support ourselves. What are the technologies we can use? So how we approach uncertainty strongly depends upon how we are connected to our pranic life force. The stronger that connection, the more stable we are, and the less likely we are to get thrown off center. So we can endure more instability on the outside world if we create a more stable internal world. Our exuberance and our vitality is connected to the intensity of our pranic practices. So pranayama is in every yogic class that we take, and every one of the teachers we've studied with. Prana and pranayama has always been part of the practice because it is an age-old understanding of how that technology supports our stability. So just for fun, I was reading about Hanuman. In the Indian pantheon of characters, Hanuman is associated with prana and life force because of the way that his story unfolded. He's a Hindu god with the body of a man and the face of a monkey. I'm sure you all have seen him in various different ways. He's a central figure in the Ramayana, which was the great Hindu epic poem, and he's known for his devotion to the deity Rama. Prana, it is told, and the story is told that prana pulses through him with such vigor that he can expand his size to take on large opponents, as well as shrink to stay in silence and solitude. He has the capacity to become big and to become small as is needed because of his association and because of his intensity with the prana, the life force of his body. He can direct whatever he wants to have going through him. He can expand to take on large opponents, whatever they may be. What large opponents are we taking on in our life? And how do we also shrink so that we can renew ourselves through silence and solitude? How do we become like a little tortoise? How do we bring ourselves back into our shell and replenish ourselves so that that inner light stays as bright and as consistent as possible? We can see Hanuman's devotion as fuel for his intense pranic life force. So we look around and we say, what is the fuel for my practice of my pranic life? Is it a practice of pranayama? Is it dancing? Is it listening to music that I finish listening to it and I just feel heightened? I feel exuberant. How are we fueling the exuberance and our vitality? Not just in what we eat, of course, that's important, but it's also what are we taking in as the senses and the sights and the smells around us? How are we feeding ourselves so that our pranic life force and our breath and our beingness is as stable as possible? When confronted by evil disturbances, Hanuman says, there is only room for Ram, the target of his devotional life. Nothing else can reside inside of me. And it just gave me this thought that we can choose what resides inside of us. We can say no to forces that we don't want internally manifested or even just sitting within inside of us and developing over time. When they arise in us, and I say they, it's like judgment and anger and impatience and the qualities that we do not wish to carry in ourselves. When they arise, we have the power to say to those judgments, angers, and attitudes, I'm not carrying you. You cannot reside inside of me. There's no room for you. There's only room for, and you fill in the blank, love, patience, compassion, kindness, whatever the words are that you want, you fill that space with those qualities. And you say to the other external qualities trying to seep in from wherever they're coming, even the internal mindsets that you no longer want, there's no room for you. There's no room. I have a practice and a devotion in my pranic life that I'm not allowing that to be part of my system. There's just not room. It's really simple. I'm not having a discussion about it. There's just no room. There's room for, and we articulate what it is we want to hold is what I have room for. That's what I want to carry around with me. There's only room for. And what is your word? What are your 2 words? What are your 3 words? I have room for that which I want to carry as part of my beingness. What do we make room for? You get to ask your question. What am I making room for and what am I saying no to? Why would we make room for judgment, ambivalence, anger, fear, impatience if we don't want that as an internal experience? Contrary to habitual behavior, it's not incumbent upon us to carry ideals, emotions, thoughts, or judgments that don't resonate with us, that don't align with our priorities and our energetic blueprint. Our prana is the gatekeeper. When we support our prana, it's the gatekeeper to those things, to say, no, this is not what I want to carry internally. These are the attributes and characteristics because I feel better when I carry those. I'm happier when I carry those. So our prana becomes one of our superpowers as a gatekeeper, and it keeps our interiority stable. So why wouldn't we want to include prana, our life force practices, as part of our daily way that we enter into the world? So only we can fill this role. Our prana is our fortress, our structure. It's like the scaffolding for the gatekeeper to stay activated, fluid, energized, aware. When you're depleted and tired, then your prana doesn't have its same strength and vitality. And when that happens, more things can seep in. So it's the protection that we call upon to hold our stability. And the strength of our prana is held in our devotion, our surrender, our willingness, our discipline. You choose. What is it? What are the attributes to your gatekeeper? Maybe it's devotion. Maybe it's surrender. Maybe it's just willingness. I'm willing to be open. Maybe it's a good discipline. We all come to it in different ways. But knowing that we want to shore up this gatekeeper so that our prana has the capacity to actually be the source and sustenance for our vitality and our exuberance. Because I want to live in a vital, exuberant manner, don't you? We all do. We don't want to be depleted. It's not simply a thought, a wish. You know, I wish I could be that way. It's not a passing notion. Awareness of where that's not happening in us it has an intelligence. Awareness has an intelligence. And it often uses the heart as the central clearing station for this intelligence, because our heart is intuitive, because the heart has the ability to outlast other discordant thoughts, fears, insecurities. The heart has stamina. So we use our prana to support our heart, because our heart is the place that we're operating out of to get the best stability we can, the best balance between our thoughts and our emotions and what's coming in and what's going out. We want to be able to support that essential part of our makeup. There are age-old pranic practices. Some are simple, some are complex. Breathing with nature is a source of powerful prana. Nature's breath can support our own breath when it's shallow or disrupted. It can stabilize us. So when we're out and we're recognizing that something's throwing our breathing off, how many times have we found ourselves stopping the breath? We're breathing either really quickly or not at all. We're holding our breath to be able to deal with something. Nature can help us. Being out in nature is one of the primary ways of being able to support. Nature has a breath rhythm that we can tap into. It can slow us back down, putting our feet on the earth. The genius of the pranic system is that it's already wired into us. We cannot live without it. There's no life without prana. There's no breath. There's no life. It's already built into us. It's in our system. So we have the opportunity to just shore it up, to pay attention to it. We don't have to invent it, to find it, to locate it. It's already in us. So as the sages and rishis and wisdom holders throughout the ages have done before us, we use our breath, our pranic energy force, as the fulcrum, the tool to enliven ourselves, to protect us, to alleviate physical and mental exhaustion, to stabilize our energetic bodies, to connect us more deeply to life, to our life. So I'm going to let it go there, because Siddhi's going to help us with bringing in one or two, or I'm not sure how many practices that will allow us to find maybe one other discipline, one other micro discipline that supports this pranic life force that is our interior light. So I'm turning it over to
Thank
Miss
you,
Siddhi.
love. Okay, so I wish and I want you, if you can, come up standing, because to get more prana, and it's really important that we open up our body. Come on, Lisa. I can see your face. Lydia, get off the sofa. because when we sit, we restrict our lungs. Yeah, so when we're restricting our lungs, we get less prana in. So we do a few movements and then we go into our pranayama. And they're all simple. If you feel not solid this morning, you stay solidly on your feet. Otherwise, you inhale, bring your arms up. On the exhalation, bring your hands back and come on all the way onto your toes. Inhale, feet down, arms up. Exhale, come onto your toes, arms go back. And very relaxed, your arms are relaxed. Long, slow, deep breathing, opening up your lung meridian, your heart meridian, large and small intestine meridian, pericardium. Lots going on with this simple movement, opening up our body, especially in the time when we will be now with all our family members. There might be more sitting, driving, eating. Every time we sit, we restrict a little bit our diaphragm, and with that, our breath capacity. So inhale up, exhale down. You can inhale through your nose, exhale, open mouth. You can also in and exhale just through your nose. And like I shared yesterday in class, you stimulate tremendously the nerve endings in your feet, in your toes. So there's a lot of communication going on in your body right now. Let's do 10 more. We're stretching when we come up. We're also stretching the back of our knees. I think 10 is this. Is it 10? Good. And just then have your palms facing forward and feel into your body. That's the vitality and aliveness Nicola was talking about that you're feeling right now. Good. Now inhale, bring just one arm up. And now you come up onto your toes. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, the opposite. The movements that can keep us really healthy, often are simple movements, accessible for most of us. So let's do 10 more. The last one. Take a moment again. And imagine all this communication in your body, what's going on right now inside of you. Good. Now inhale, bring your arms out to the side and come onto your toes. Exhale, left hand goes below your right arm and right hand goes on your left shoulder. Inhale, open and switch the cross. Right below. And take your time, long, slow, deep inhalation, exhalation. And with the inhalation, you bring in the prana. With the exhalation, you expel the apana, the used air, making more space. The last 10. All these you can do easily throughout the day. Whenever you feel like you want more energy or you feel contracted. Good. Just let your arms hang and just shake out your wrists, your fingers. Good. Now you can sit and snuggle up again with your blankets and pillows. I just set my timer here. So I can see the time. So a wonderful breath to increase our prana internally is actually the whistle breath. So in the first round will be we inhale through the whistle and then we slowly exhale through the nose. Yeah, and even if the whistle doesn't come out much, then you just inhale through the open mouth. And then later on we will switch. We will exhale through the whistle and inhale through the nose. But let's start. I want you to wrap your right hand around your left thumb. Yeah, this will actually increase your and help your lung meridian to get stronger. And you can just rest your hand. So right hand around the left thumb. And then close your eyes. And then observe and follow your inhalation through the whistle breath and see what happens in your body and how much more you open up through the whistle breath than a regular breath. And we all do it at our own length. Everybody has a different capacity here. Inhaling through the whistle, exhaling slowly through the nose. I'm on higher elevation and I truly can feel it when I whistle. Through the whistle breath, we're getting a lot of prana in. We're opening our lungs to a different capacity. And then become aware on the exhalation how you release the apana, like the stale air that you used already. Giving it back into the world. Listening to the sound you may be able to make. The last 30 seconds. Good. Now slowly change your hand position. Wrap your left hand around your right thumb. And now we exhale with the whistle and we inhale through the nose. So let's inhale through the nose. And then when you're ready, you exhale with your whistle. It might be that the exhalation with the whistle is harder than the inhalation. That's very common. It's different for each and every one of us. Last minute. Good, and then just relax your breath. Keep the mudra resting in your lap. Eyes stay closed for a moment. And then observe the capacity inside, how much more air you can breathe in through your nose, how your rib cage is widening much easier right now, and your chest is lifting with much more ease. Because we opened up our pranic apparatus, so to speak. It's just a little easy movement and through the whistle breath.